Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This is John. I just finished Resistance 3, the main campaign, yesterday actually, and I've been playing a lot of multiplayer of it. Um, Overall, I really like Resistance 3. I'm going to do a quick review of it and show you a little bit of gameplay. First, we're going to go in the options. One of the reasons I'm reviewing it, of course, it's in 3D, which is awesome. I'm going to turn this off just because you guys can't see it, obviously, with my camera. Looks awesome in 3D. The graphics not in 3D really aren't that impressive, so that's kind of a bit of a letdown in my opinion. It looks a lot better in 3D than it does in 2D. In 2D, you find the textures are kind of ugly. So anyway, you can see I completed the game. I'm just going to go back to Haven. And I'm just going to play this. It's actually a pretty difficult game, anything on normal or above, but one of the cool things is it uses 3D, of course I said, and it looks fantastic in 3D. I would say it looks just as good as Uncharted 3 in 3D. In 2D, the textures are kind of crappy. I think the reason is they didn't want to show a huge disparity between the 3D mode and the 2D mode, so they give to the 2D mode, and I don't like that. So the graphics are okay at best in 2D, fantastic if you have a 3D TV though. The PlayStation Move integration is good, but not great. For the most part, it works real well. You just stab forward to do a melee attack, and you point on the screen after you calibrate, just like you would a Wii Remote playing GoldenEye. So it's pretty responsive. You do have the ability to tweak the settings a little bit. The cursor does drift. Down the one gun. So you know, that's a bit of a problem there, but if you're a fan of the Resistance series, the storyline, it continues off Resistance 2, and of course there are mentions of things like what happened in Resistance Retribution for the PSP, but anyone that only really liked, or hated Resistance 2, you're going to be in for a treat, because guess what, it's a lot better than, here. It's a lot better than Resistance 2. Resistance 2 was a huge letdown to me. I was a big fan of the original Resistance. I liked Retribution on the PSP. But Resistance 2 I just thought was terrible, to be honest with you. It was just so generic. It was Insomniac's one of their worst efforts. It did have a lot of modes. It had its own separate co-op campaign. It had its own, it had 64-player multiplayer. So, and then the first one you could play, I think, 40 players on multiplayer, but the campaign was co-op together. This one's co-op together for the campaign. So it doesn't have its own separate campaign mode that I know of. It does have deathmatch, but it's up to 16 players. It's more focused than the second one was for multiplayer. But of course, the second one didn't have PlayStation Move integration or 3D TV. And the storyline in this one is very dark. The second one, while it was dark, and I liked hearing the radio and stuff when they were talking about how bad things were in the United States, this one also takes place in the United States, but it just seems darker. You can see the atmosphere is oppressive. It's kind of sad. It's a very cool looking game. Just stabbing forward to do my melee with the move. Like I said, the cursor drift, fortunately, is not a big problem in this, but yeah, I mean, the game's okay. Here's the radio. Yeah, the game is more than okay. I really, I sounded so negative at first, but I sincerely hope that you don't think that, geez, I hate this game, so I started complaining about it immediately. No, I actually love the game. It's everything Resistance 2 should have been. It would have been cool if it had its own co-op campaign, but it doesn't. And that's alright. But yeah, I would give this game, the single player is one of the few first-person shooters I was intrigued to play since basically BioShock. I often don't even play single player in first-person shooters because it's usually very generic, very average at best. So you can see I don't know what I'm doing, but I assure you I played the game. I'm just screwing around more or less. Yeah, so single player, great. It's fantastic. Multiplayer, let's see. I'll play one quick multiplayer match. I'll cut it in the middle. The multiplayer, the deathmatch and stuff, it's pretty good. It's fast. It's not as fast as like Halo. A lot of people compare Resistance to Halo, and there's a good reason why. They're basically kind of the same kind of game. One thing you do have to know. Oh, nice. All right. One thing you do have to know is that it requires an online pass. Anyone that's like me doesn't like online passes. Kind of annoying. But yeah, so it requires an online pass. That's a huge letdown right off the bat. I bought the game on a deal of the day at Best Buy for $10 and had a couple reward certificates, so I got it for free. I really do like the game. It came out last year. Came out originally, I think, for a $60 full retail title. It's probably not worth $60, but I think the story mode is actually interesting. And how many people can tell you that they played an interesting story mode? That doesn't happen very often. So you also don't get hit, if you notice, anymore based on. Oops, I guess I'm human. You also don't. You notice you don't get hits anymore. You don't get experience based on your hits. You played the second one, you immediately got AXP. Now you kind of do have to at least kill the guy. I'm kind of okay with that. Oh, getting destroyed. You see, I'm not very good at it. Generally, multiplayer is not my favorite thing, but and I also haven't played it enough to really get into the multiplayer a whole lot. Usually, I'm not quite this bad. That or our team's real bad. I'm not sure which. The other guys are a little bit better than we are. Really want to be a surprise. So I'm going to at least get a kill here for respect. Oh. Well, at least I got some EXP. Got an assist. Alright. So once I get a kill, I'm going to kill the video. I just want you guys to know I'm giving Resistance 3 an 8.5 out of 10 overall. I think it's a fantastic first-person shooter. You know, as much credit as Halo deserves. Ooh, boy. As much credit as games like Halo deserves. This is a really good game, and if you have a PS3 or a Move, you're missing out. Hey, all right, we got one. So. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to leave you on that note. Thanks for watching. This is John. Resistance 3 gets an 8.5 out of 10.